Absolute madness at Old Trafford. Fulham, the better team, outplaying Manchester United. A lethargic and exhausted Red Devils team could not muster the opportunities and the efforts. Antony comes onto the football pitch and everything changes. A beautiful counter-attack, wonderful pass on the inside from Antony, sets up a beautiful chance for Sancho, who cuts in, dinks left, puts it onto his right, buries the opportunity, and Willian handballs it on the line. I was shocked and saddened that the ref was looking straight at it and couldn't see it. It was as clear as day. And then a madness ensued. Then we saw a 7 minutes of absolute carnage. Rightfully, the penalty was given. Absolutely rightfully, the penalty was given to Manchester United. And 110%, Willian was sent off. I think that's undisputable amongst most football fans. And then Marco Silva enters the technical area where the referee's trying to assess the red card and gets himself sent off. And then Mitrovic has an absolute disgraceful and thuggish meltdown. He pushes the referee, he squares up to his face, almost touches his forehead with ease, clearly swearing, clearly berating, and also receives a red card. They go down to 10 men, and Man United, of course, 9 men. Man United score the penalty courtesy of Bruno Fernandes. And then how are they going to hang on? They've lost their composure. They've lost their professionalism. They've lost their team. They've lost 2 of their players and their manager. And then brilliant play from Sancho and Shaw on the left. And Sebi, his first goal for the club in the FA Cup, makes it 2-1. And the game was over from that point, with Bruno Fernandes adding a cherry on top of the icing, on top of the cake. And for me, listen, I was buzzing. I was genuinely buzzing at the win. We'll get onto the performance later because it wasn't very good from Man United today. We are looking leggy. We're looking lethargic. The amount of football since Christmas has really taken its toll. And listen, I want some of these players to call in sick tonight. I don't want these players going on international duty. There's lots of elements of this United team that need to improve and need to get better. Since that Liverpool defeat, we have not been the same side. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. We haven't been the same team. There's no denying that whatsoever. However, I spoke about this a few days ago. This is about how do we complete the comeback, the bounce back. We've gone through in the Europa League. We beat Fulham at home today. Didn't get a perfect result against Southampton, but we got through it. The bounce back is perfect. We're in the semi-finals now against Brighton, which will be a massive and tough game in itself. We go on to the latter stages of the Europa League. And listen, we've got 2 games in hand, but still sitting in 3rd place in the Premier League. The response to that horrible defeat at Anfield has been nothing short of brilliant, and I'm proud of the boys. I'm not happy with the performances, and I want better, but I'm proud of the response. And on today's game, honestly, I was sitting here, 70th minute, they had a corner, and I could not see how we were getting back into the game. Antony had come on and really gave us some fight. The way a couple of fouls he committed against Robinson. I sat here and I said to Jess, I'm like, I want more of that. Yes, it's going to waste a few minutes when they get free kicks, but we really have got to get in their faces. You know, almost, if you want to call it this, got to play some real passionate football, some British football. And the Brazilians and the Argentinians play it in exactly the same way. There's aggression. The flair and the skill and the passing is great. The patterns of play, brilliant. But if you can't get at your opponents at times, you'll lose. And he came on and made it feisty. And he was absolutely scintillating on that right-hand side. What a substitute appearance from that young man. He was nothing short, as I say, of spectacular. And a lot of people saying, oh, without the penalty, you may not have won. Maybe we wouldn't. Maybe we wouldn't have won the game because, as this comment here says from Football Matters FC, one of our members, we look tired. We absolutely do look tired. But we should have scored that counter-attack. We'd have been back in the game if they hadn't cheated. And that's why they got a straight red card. And a few people saying it's never a red card. Listen, 110%. Both red cards were red cards. This is two correct red cards, but Bruno pushes refs every game. Well, there's 2 things in this. So a lot of people have called me out online. So make sure you clip this and send it to them. I said that Bruno should have been sent off in the Liverpool game. So I don't understand where my hypocrisy is coming from. There you're being a hypocrite. I said Bruno should have. You should get off Twitter and watch proper content on YouTube. Get out of Spaces and watch proper content on YouTube. It was said he should have been sent off. He should have been sent off. So should Mitrovic. However, the difference being is this: what did Mitrovic say whilst pushing him? That will be the change. I don't think it's just a physical push. It will have been the words coming out of his mouth. I guarantee you, when the report comes out, it won't just be that he touched the referee. It will be what he said to him as well. Referees, I don't think that the push wasn't even that bad. I actually thought the way he squared up to him afterwards was far worse. That could land him a 5, 6, 7 game ban now, because you're bordering on assault there. You're bordering upon assault, and it was absolutely disgraceful. But the manager losing his head, the squad losing its head, and Mitrovic doing that. When you look at the fines and the charges that Arsenal have had this year, Fulham should be in real trouble. Fulham should be in real trouble. Terry, that fan on TikTok says you'll win the league. But remember, TikTokers aren't real. They're all parodies. It's like taking fashion advice from Sacha Baron Cohen's character Bruno. Or you know what I'm saying? They're not real people. They're all just, it's all for laughs. They're jesters. That's all it really is. Shisha King says semi-final is going to be tough, but we can get through it. United versus City final is perfect. Yeah, I'm not even looking at that final. Genuinely, I'm waiting. I want to get through the semis first. Brighton are going to be tough. Brighton are a very good team at the moment, 110%. Terry's going back to Wembley. Yeah, my team is, and I'm very happy we're going back. 3 trophies still on the cards. I'm angry with how we performed today, but I'm happy to have gone through. I'm proud of what we've been through recently with this team. But yeah, what a game! What a game! Absolutely, what a game! Nabil here says, any rivals crying about red cards today? They were the same ones who said get on with it when Casemiro got a red. So I will say get on with it. Can I kiss Martinez, David De Gea, and Bruno? They were lovely. Oh, Martinez. Well, David De Gea saved, by the way, to keep it at 1-0. Absolutely out of this world. That save was ridiculous. That save was absolutely ridiculous from him. And I said this to a few people on Twitter. I'm like, last week, when I'm moaning about the inconsistencies of refs when it comes to Casemiro's rightful red card, I'm being told by rivals, you just got to get on with it. Stop crying. Today, they're all talking about inconsistencies. This is why you won't get consistency with refereeing. However, there's nothing about the card decisions against Man United today that's controversial. I don't even understand it. There's no controversy at all. This here is a clear handball denying a goal-scoring opportunity, and Mitrovic squared up to the referee. They are both red cards, 110%. There should be nothing to complain about. I don't understand why inconsistency is even a thing. What a sham. Only Bruno is allowed to push the refs. Do a poll, Terry. Is Sancho Premier League class? We might do that poll in a little while, but why do you want us to do that poll? It's weird, Paul. You do this every time Man United win. You want us to talk negatively about our club. It's strange. We're jubilant right now, but we'll do the poll for you later, my friend. Stay with us. United look too lazy and careless tonight. They play like that against Sevilla, and they'll lose 4-0. United did look poor. And I don't think we looked lazy. I think we were exhausted. And I heard Roy Keane say that shouldn't be an excuse. I understand where he's coming from because he played in teams that were elite, but we're not elite yet. We're still in the first year of our rebuild. We're in the first year of our rebuild, and there's a long way for us to go. And I just think that the players are exhausted. They need this break. Even sometimes time away with another group can help you when you reform. What are the odds on a cup treble? I don't even know, Joseph. Maybe we should go and check that out and have a little bit of a look, my mate. By the way, Kim K attended the PSG game and they lost too. No, is that true? Oh, wow. That is crazy. Yeah, they've got to stop her going to football grounds 110%. Bruno pushed the ref the other day, not even a yellow. Yeah, like I've already said, it should have been a red card by what it looked like. But the referees didn't even write it up in their report as being a problem. So I don't think the push is the issue. It will be what he said. I guarantee you it will be what he said when the report comes out. So yeah, listen, Bruno was lucky not to get a red card. Mitrovic deserves his red card. So this is what you've got to look at. So what you're asking for is inconsistency, or you're asking for consistency. Remember, if you're saying, well, Bruno didn't, you're saying Mitrovic deserved not to, or you're saying Bruno should have been. If Bruno should have been, you can't complain about today's decision. Today's right, and you should ask for it every time. Not, well, Mitrovic shouldn't have got one either. That means you are advocating for inconsistency and not consistency. Very strange. You've got it back to front, my people. I know all the nerds and virgins are very upset about it, but I can't help that. I can't help that. People are saying we paid the refs. Honestly, that's one of the craziest takes. One of the craziest takes that I've seen. It really, really is. We're going to bring the panel out now to have their say on today, plus talk about the performance from Manchester United as well and how things will look after the international break. Hit the like and share button. Let's go. Welcome back, boys. Welcome back to the show. Mo here, Dizzy and KJ. KJ, I mean, we'll get onto the performance later. Talk to me about the melee of madness that we witnessed.
Flipping hell. That is probably the worst capitulation from a team I've ever seen in my flipping life. 3 red cards in the space of 2 minutes. It's so bad. That's so bad. Fulham, they literally, up until that point, I said, you know what, Fulham deserve to go through. They're going to beat us. They've been a better team. They wanted it more, everything. Willian goes and does stupidness on the line because, listen, if Jadon Sancho scores, it's 1-1. They're still in the game. You will have 11 men. Don't know why my man, flung his arm out. But then for Mitrovic, for the Marco Silva to then walk over to the ref while he's checking it, brother, what are you doing? You're the manager. You're supposed to set the tone. You're supposed to be relaxed, calm, and like, all right, cool. Let the guys do what they're doing, and we'll go from there. He gets sent off, and then Mitrovic. This brother, this is why top teams won't buy him. For this exact reason, the man's head is hot. It leaves planet Earth and goes to the flipping moon when anything doesn't go his way. It's crazy. The issue is people are going to be like, oh, Bruno. Mitrovic was shouting at the ref, then grabbed him, and then squared up to him. Are you thinking those 3 things aren't worth a red card? Come on now, people. Let's not be stupid here. Let's not be dumb. Mitrovic is stupid. He has cost he alone, I think personally, cost this game for Fulham. Because you know what? If they had 10 men at 1-1, they may be able to hold on for a draw, maybe take it to penalties, maybe nick a goal. That's doable. 9 men, you're literally telling your team, screw it, man, it ain't worth it. So yeah, we are fortunate. I'm not going to sit here and say we played well. We weren't good at all. We were terrible today. But in terms of the reds, all of the reds today were absolutely justified, absolutely correct. And if you're a fan saying there shouldn't have been there, you've just got an agenda against Man United, because you can't blame the refs at all for those red cards today.
No, you cannot. Listen, let me just say something. I'm neutral, and I was going for the underdogs. The underdog story is the right way, is the good one, the story and stuff like this. However, correct threat for Willian, no argument about it. Goal scoring opportunity, handball on the line, you moved your hand to it. It's a red card. Mitrovic, I know Terry was talking before he brings us on about the talk and what he said. It doesn't matter if Bruno didn't get the red card before or not. You shove a referee, you push a referee, it's a red card. It's as simple as that. This is the right decision, and it cost him the game. So anybody in the chat, you guys think that Man United didn't deserve the win? They didn't deserve the win before the 75 minute, but the game is played on 90 minutes. It's as simple as that. And Fulham made 2 mistakes that cost him the game. It's simple. You play 90 minutes, you put in a performance 90 minutes, you win the game. They didn't. They played brilliant 75 minutes, 2 mistakes, game is gone. And the coach has to be asked about what he did on the sideline, because I think that's what drove Mitrovic to do what he did on the pitch. And that's a big mistake from a coach that should have been experienced more than this. So for me, Man United deserved the win, not because of the performance, because Fulham just gave the game away. It's as simple as that. A mistake on the counter, and then you can recover. You can recover. As KJ said, you can recover with a goal. It's still 1-1, and you were the better team on the pitch. It's stupidity. I don't call it luck. It's stupidity. It's a small detail. But Man United are the team that deserve to go through. It's as simple as that.
and this is what people have got to remember as well. And people won't want to remember this. They won't want to think about this because it doesn't sort of like the narrative isn't there. There's a reason Willian handballed that. There's a reason that he didn't want it to go in because he would, in his brain in that moment, it would be if they score, the crowd's going to get up, the energy's going to raise, they're going to come at us. He didn't need to do that. As you say, it was a brain fart moment when they're in the ascendancy. So he cost his team. And as you say with Mitrovic, he didn't need to do what he did. He didn't need to do, like, the crazy part about Mitrovic's outburst, it wasn't a controversial red. That's with Marco Silva. There was nothing controversial about your player handballing it off the line. There's no reason to get at it. Wasn't, I can understand if it was like a Casemiro red last week where you think he hasn't meant to do it. He's rolled over the ball. It was fairly accidental. That would warrant more of that response than the handball. It was a crazy couple of minutes. It's cost them the game. And Mitrovic and the manager should both tonight issue an apology to their fans for their disgraceful behavior because they cost their team massively tonight. And people can try and throw it at Man United that we pay refs and we do this and we do that. But that had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. Man United didn't do anything wrong today. We then just took, we then just kind of took, again, it's hard to sort of laud the performance after that. It was against 9 men. It should be, you know what I'm saying?
There's a comment here. Sorry, Tay. There's a comment here from Jeremiah says, Willian didn't deserve a red because you're punishing the team twice. It should be yellow and a pen. That only applies to genuine attempts to play the ball for fouls. Handballing the ball off the line is a red card. Like, I don't see where people start making, they take one rule and try and apply it to all the other rules. Like, that's not how it works. You can't just stand on the line and put a hand out and be like, oh, yep, no goal. I'm just going to get a yellow and give them a pen. It's a red. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, and
like,
the referee interpreted it as intentional. If it was unintentional, yes, but this was intentional. It was clearly intentional.
And you know what I'd say to it as well is this. I understand what people are saying, but that's the law of the game. So, again, you can... Again, it's funny how that law is suddenly a problem when Man United benefit from it, but no one was saying for weeks, like, you know, like the offside rule, everyone kind of questions it, the second phase stuff. There's the handballs in the build up to goals. Everybody questions them if you're the guy that passes it rather than the guy that scores it. But I've never heard anybody question the law where if you handball it on the line and stop a goal, you shouldn't be sent off. United benefit from it, and suddenly, the rules got to be changed. It's a crazy one for me. It really is. Baz here says the refs are working. They don't deserve to be abused on the field of play. Do you know what I would say as well about the refs? People say like the refs were for us. The fact we didn't get it in real time was crazy to me. It looked so obvious. They tried to disallow the clear onside goal. It was, you could see that Shaw was ahead of the play when he cut it back. So they were even trying to take it away from Man United still in this game. So I'm still surprised to see so much bitterness from rivals.
Bro, you know what it is?
Go on, bro.
Yeah, fam, refs haven't been with United in a long ass time. So this whole narrative that United are paying refs or refs gives United preferential treatment, bro, that hasn't been the case for a really long time. Everything that happened. So on.
No, you know what's crazy, DZ? If we was getting preferential treatment, we would have got smaller decisions that's preferential. When it's blatant tomfoolery, you can't say, oh, they prefer the other team because they're just following the rules.
Let me just clear something up. People will only remember the last 15 minutes. People will only remember that. Let me just say something. Most of the small calls earlier, like the push on Dico Dover-Reid from Harry Maguire, these were given to Fulham because they were the team that has the ball position. So for people to come and say you had the referees in your pocket, no, for 75 minutes, I thought most of the small calls were given to the team that had most of the ball position. This is the reality. Go to the stats. Stats won't lie. Look at the small fouls. Look at the small infringements that normally wouldn't be given, but they were given. But people will only want to remember these two red cards. And let's be clear, handball on the line. The law is the law.
Well, I think you saw that Harry Maguire foul a minute before it. Sancho conceded a foul, and it was his shirt that was being grabbed, and he didn't touch the player, and he was trying to get round to the ball. So there was lots of decisions that weren't going our way today. But as soon as I saw the handball, I was like, there was just no way the red card and the penalty wasn't going to be given. To call United cheats or we paid the referees is crazy. It would have to have not been a handball for it to have been us paying the referees. Like, that's what cheating would look like. Not getting a clear and normal decision. We have a super chat here that says, "I'm not convinced, and not a convincing performance. Concerned." Digi, are you worried about the last 3 or 4 games? Because the performances have been very much like tonight.
Bro, this is great super chat because that is very, very good observation. United, since the Carabao Cup, our performances have been very lackluster. It looks like we look very leggy. Rashford doesn't look like he has that super quick burst of pace that he has. He's got another gear that he can go to, but he looks like he's missing something. The international break couldn't come at a better time, to be honest. And up until, like you said, Terry, up until the 70th minute, I didn't see how we were coming back into this game. I thought we was going to drop out, to be honest. So, yeah, I think the international break has come at the right time, enough for me to say that it's not really that much of a concern. But I think the first games back will be very, very important. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got Newcastle first game back, and obviously for the top 4 race, that is a crucial game that we can't lose.
Absolutely.
Like, we just can't lose. I can take a draw away at St. James, but we can't lose. But yeah, the way that we're playing, it's not sustainable. It's definitely changed since the way we're playing has been changing since Eriksen, really. Since Eriksen got his injury, we've been slowly changing the way that we play to suit the fact that our midfield is so dead, right? Absolutely dead right now, especially with Casemiro out. It's crazy. And we can't play the way that Ten Hag wants to play right now. We just have to accept that as fans that we can't. But the players need to step up, and we've gotten through moments, we've gotten through games, but like as an overall team, we've not really been stepping up to the plate. And hopefully this international break gives us a chance to reset, get some players back from an injury. Eriksen should be back. If Tony Martial ain't back by the end of this international break, then I don't know what's gonna go happen with this guy. Might as well just ship him for free. But yeah, we need this. We need to come back, and we need to come back firing.
Just for 1 sec, sorry. We've got a poll running right now asking the question: are Manchester United fading? 38% say yes, 22% say no, 40% say they will improve. So it's sort of 62 odd percent. It's sort of like they're not, or they are, but they will kind of come back. 40% think United are fading away in terms of this season and won't come back. That's what you're saying yes to that means. But sorry, what were you going to say, Diz?
Bro, think about it like this. Since the World Cup, we've played the most games out of a top flight team, I swear, because we're the only ones left in basically all the competitions. You add that to the fact that in February, I think we played, what was it, something like 11 games in 30 days or something like that. We was playing a game every 2.5 days or so. So it's literally physically impossible. And also you're adding injuries, you're adding playing the same players every week. You got suspensions. It is not physically possible to play at the level, at the highest level for a team playing that consistently over a month or so, and winning games is not possible. You just got to take the wins where you can, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, people will say that's an excuse. Roy Keane saying that's not an excuse. There's 2 things that people have got to remember about this Man United team. Today, starting on the pitch, how many permanent signings are there of Ten Hag's? One player that he has signed permanently. You got Veghorst and Sabitzer. There's no guarantees they're even going to be there next year. So this is nowhere. Antony came on. You saw the difference he made. You had Martinez on the pitch. You had a good game. This guy, we're still in the first season of our rebuild. He needs 2 or 3 more windows to completely have his squad. Like every other manager is afforded that kind of time. At least 1 more anyway. When you're the sides of Manchester United, City got that same kind of time under Pep Guardiola, and he should be afforded the same thing too. It's about mindset, and I think a lot of these players are in the last 3 or 4 games. It's like they won a trophy, they're exhausted, and they're going back to the Ollie and the Jose and the LVG mindset of, well, we've achieved something now. We can take our foot off the gas. If you actually watch Ten Hag during games, he looks frustrated. He looks angry at how we're performing. But I also think he realizes, I can't do much about it now. I can't banish them all to the reserves because we'll throw away opportunities of trophies. He understands that Man United, I know we had a lot of people calling for this after the Liverpool game. What we can't do is rebuild without winning trophies. United have to rebuild whilst winning things. And that's a balancing act, there's no doubt. A super chat here says, I don't like the way we keep creating chances and missing. We need this break, and Sancho needs to start shooting, please.
I would love that.
I think that tinkering. I thought today he was overthinking the game. It's as he did against Liverpool. I think Erik ten Hag since the Liverpool game, because if you look at the games before the Liverpool game, you had a set 11 mostly changing one personnel, and then you're winning all the games. You won 5 in a row. And then in the Liverpool game, he played Rashford up top, Weghorst at the 10 when he tried some of that against Barcelona. And I think today he did exactly the same. Rashford kept exchanging with Sancho. He's trying to integrate Sancho into the team, and it's not working. You need to have a set system. And without Casemiro, it's not helping. I think he's trying to find a place for Sancho to play. He's trying to justify him being in the squad next year, and that's affecting the rest of the team. Because when Antony came on, I don't like Antony, but he provides stability. It's as simple as that. And he's trying to integrate Sancho into the team slowly, but it doesn't look like it's working because it's disrupting everybody else. Also, today go ahead.
Well, I agree with that. I want to disagree just a little bit because I don't know what it was, but Antony didn't play the last game. So I think he picked up a niggle of some sort in training.
It was a small illness. Apparently it was illness. That's what it was.
Yeah. So essentially, we got to find a place. If Sancho is either the first choice or second choice, we got to find how he fits into the system because Antony has a tendency to miss games from mysterious injuries that he's picking up somehow. So I guess he kind of has to find how he fits into the system.
And you know
that's
what?
Great, KJ. Let me just add something to KJ. So that's actually very, very, what you said is not contradicting what I said. The problem is you don't have a like for like. Like when Casemiro is out, you don't have a like. So you want to integrate a player into the system, but it's not a like for like player. So you will need to shift the players. And I think that disrupts the way he wants to play, which it doesn't contradict what I'm saying. It's just, you have different types of player everywhere. Like Weghorst is different than Martial. Antony is different than Sancho. And I think Sabitzer is different than Casemiro. And that's kind of a problem for a coach that you need like for like sometimes, especially for someone like Ten Hag, who likes to play in a sit way, a sit system. He likes to take control of games. I think that's the thing.
There's a comment here that says total crap. Sancho and Antony, 0 assists and like 0.05 GA. There's lots of elements. I think what people are missing with what Mo's saying here is Antony does everything you want him to do. He's just lacking that creativity. Sancho is missing the creativity, but also isn't doing all the other elements of the tracking. He wouldn't get into a battle with Robertson the way Sancho did. And Premier League football, although it's the FA Cup today, we're playing Premier League teams. That fight and bite is needed. And I just think Sancho, my impression of the man, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I think he's a bit of a fair weather player. You notice when we went down, we were up against 10-9 men, we were winning. Suddenly all the tricks and all the silks came out because he was relaxed. When he comes on and we're winning games, he did brilliantly, by the way, when he came on against Leeds. There's no doubt he was excellent when he came on in that game. But most of the time in the United shirt, he performs when it's easy. He rarely performs when we're up against it. Does he open a team up? Does he unlock somebody? That's what I don't know if he's got that tenacity about him to be able to do it. And I want to say here, Sancho is a baller. I'm not saying he isn't a baller, but he ain't balling out for Man United. Just because you'll see a great step over and a good little flick or trick, that don't mean anything. That isn't what football is, bruv. That is freestyle football and playground football. That isn't professional men's football. Some players can do that, but you need all the fire and tenacity and everything else around it. And I just don't think Sancho has it. So I agree with where you're coming from, Mo, 110%.
I think Ten Hag looks like he generally wants him to work, though. Like, if this was a player that you can clearly tell Ten Hag's like, I don't really feel him. It's kind of like Maguire. You can tell he don't like Maguire. You can tell he don't like Maguire, but he plays him because he kind of has to at times. Like today, Varane is out. Okay, cool, you play Maguire. But you know he's getting shipped out. The way what he's been doing with Sancho, it looks like he's genuinely trying to get the best out of him. And he's a stubborn coach when it comes to getting the best out of players. Like we've seen it with the Tadic's, the Halers, all these. So I feel like this is almost like one of his personal projects. It's the same with Martial as well. Don't be surprised if Martial's still here next season. Because Ten Hag sees what he can do with him and he's trying to do that. I just hope Sancho sees that he's got a coach that's actually backing him and takes it by the second step. Because the pass he played to Shaw for the second goal was brilliant. There's a couple little passes that he's been doing recently that are great. We just need more of him off the ball, and then we can then start to see what Sancho is about. But if when people question his mentality, I'm not gonna argue with them because the proof is there. You know what I mean? The proof.
But
is
we
there.
don't know what happens behind the scenes. We don't know what happens in the training sessions. There are information that he had trouble and all the mental issues and all the stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and judge a player who was away for 4 months, away from even the training session. Wasn't he in the Netherlands training on a private sessions?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and judge him over this. However, the price tag, again, how much you can get out of that, because now you have 2 players on that side that is worth 190 million or 180 million. And a coach can spend so much on one side. You will need something to come out of them that will benefit the squad this year or next year. Otherwise, you sell Sancho and you get another winger. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Really, really quick. Last thing. I think, obviously, Sancho, unfortunately, he hasn't had the opportunity to find his feet in the team, 1, and 2, to really find his stride, because obviously he had a terrible year, and the year that he comes back, we've got a replacement for him already. So there is no opportunity for him to get 10, 12 games on the spin where he can find his feet and kick
No,
on.
you know what? I'm gonna say that's what I'll say. That's not a lie, but like that's not fully true.
This
Because
season,
any footballer can have an opportunity.
no,
They have
fair.
to force it. Yeah, that's what I mean.
No,
They have
you
to force that.
100%.
And Sancho, unfortunately, has not forced Ten Hag to be like, "Rah, I can't drop you."
Wan-Bissaka.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, Wan-Bissaka,
absolutely.
he's forced it. Delo's on the bench.
Absolutely,
Exactly.
but here's the thing. But I think the difficulty thing, and this is the last thing I'll say on Sancho. To me, he looks like a link-up player. He looks like he wants the 1-2s, the intricate passes. He doesn't look like he's gonna get on the ball and do an ISO move. And at where he is right now, so it's kind of tricky for him to show himself when you have ISO players and he's a link-up player, if that makes sense.
But he was never like this at Dortmund. He was never. He was an end product player. He was someone who provides that final pass. He was someone who scores. Yeah. What happened? It's just. Listen, Di Maria was absolutely a wonder player at Real Madrid. Went to Man United, didn't work out. Went to PSG, another wonder player. Sometimes the environment is not for you. It's as simple as that.
I totally agree here. Here's a super chat that says Sancho plays better with Martial and Antony type players, and he has been doing well for me. I don't understand why people hate him and his style. So again, I don't think I don't hate his style. I like how he looks as a football player, but I'm consistent as the day is long. All that, I don't care what it looks like. You've got to deliver. And delivering means you keep the shape of the team defensively, you track back and help your fullback, you are good in the build-up play, and you create and/or score. Antony, by the way, has still got lots of holes in his game as well, and is not being called perfect. But I demand that from everybody, always, at all times. And I think those standards have to be adhered to at Manchester United. Ryan here says United have played every midweek since the World Cup. I mean, and that has taken its toll, and that's why I'm so proud of the team. Even though I'm annoyed with the performances, I'm proud because we've played 26 games. City have played, I think, 20 or 21, which is a lot. But like the Chelsea's and the Arsenals have played about 14 games in that same time period, 15 games maybe. Like, there's a huge difference. The amount of midweeks that we haven't been able to rest and recover and work on systems and patterns and plays. And by the way, it's a good thing because we're in trophies and we might win more trophies. But there comes a point where, that's why, by the way, multiple trophy winning seasons are bigger achievements than just winning one. Winning the league is massive. I'm not saying winning the FA Cup and the League Cup is bigger than the league, but if you win the league and win another 2 trophies, it's a much bigger achievement than just the league, because being able to stay in all these competitions is so difficult. And I think people are maybe realizing it a lot this season.
Overachieving?
Man United we are overachieving this season, Man United, I think, because no one expected us to be here. So that, by definition, is an overachieving. What is really funny on socials is I'm being called out for not having a go at Bruno. And I'm like, I basically said I called Bruno disgusting when he pushed the rest and disgraceful. I called him disgraceful and wrong and said he was lucky not to be a red. And people are like, but you didn't tweet it. I'm like, no, I just said it to 138,000 people that watched that stream. And we clipped the first 10 minutes of that stream up and re-put that out, and it got 90. So look, nearly 250,000 people saw me call Bruno a disgrace. But for people on Twitter, they just can't handle that Man United have won, and the nerds and virgins are fuming. They're fuming. This here says KG. There's a precedent for this: Suarez versus Ghana.
Yeah,
the
people want to look that up. There's a red card.
Omar wants to ask: should Antony have been sent off for his deliberate kick at the Fulham player?
You know what? Yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna be shameless. My man was trying to kick the ball. To me, he looked like he was trying to kick the ball, innit? and he just caught Antony. I mean, he caught Anthony Robinson.
Yeah,
So
well, if we give Antony a red, then I want I can't remember the name of the defender. I want him to be red carded for nearly breaking Rashford's ribs in the lead up to the goal, because that's that. We're just going to do shameless call outs, but thank you, Omar, for the super chat. The FA is about to dunk on Mitrovic 8-game ban. He might get it, and the thing is as well. You can see, right? I know it's something he said, because if you actually go back and look at the video, he looks at him and then he kind of pushes him and goes, "I've had enough," and sends him off. It's definitely what I can't wait to find out what he's. That's why though they've got to be mic'd up, because we'd have heard it, and there'd be no controversy right now because we'd know what was being said. This year says Man United still in all competitions, playing the most, winning the most amount of games. Players needed this rest. Let's go again in April. I wanted to ask you all though, as bad as we were today, United, KJ, are learning to find ways to win on a regular basis now. How impressed are you with that?
It makes me confident for the future, because you need that going into your second year, your third year, and obviously the third year is stereotypically the year where everyone expects you to deliver. So if we're doing that now in our first year, it's 8 months into the process, picking up a trophy, hopefully another one, another two along the way, that's going to bode us well. And the players for a long time couldn't find ways to win. When they went behind, it was done. It was over. Like there's a little period under Ollie where we get comebacks, but in the biggest moments, in the moments that mattered, if we had went behind, it ain't happening. You know what I mean? It wasn't happening. And today is another example of they just kept going. They just kept going. And we've got to remember, why did we get the red card in the first place? Why did we get the penalty in the first place? Because we cut them open. We created a chance, a clear goal scoring opportunity, which would have made it 1-1. So the mentality is still there. People are going to question the way that we're performing. Yes, we're not performing well, but no one can question the mentality, because I believed that we would have come back to get a goal, maybe not win. I think Fulham still would have went through, but looking at the game, I know what Man United are like. You wouldn't be surprised if we got a goal back, and was literally about to go and get one. So the mentality is building. We got to keep going. Got to keep going, and ride this first season.
Thanks. And you know what? The important thing in cup competitions isn't to play fantastically. It's to win the game and move on to the next round. The fact that we've done that in all of the cup competitions this season means that we're onto something. With how far we go, heck, we got Brighton, which looks like it should be a trip to the final. And then in the Carabao Cup, it looks like hell with that, bro. I'm saying it looks like we should be in the listen to me, KJ. Listen, we should be in the final of that cup. Okay. Now,
we should be 100%. Yes, we should be. Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to the Carabao Cup, we should be in at least the semi-final, if not the final of that as well.
Europa.
Sorry. Yeah, this is at least a sign of progression, if not nothing more than that.
So if Man United go to the Brighton game and win, it's achieving what they have to do, because you're Man United.
Yeah.
And if they lose on a small details, it's not a failure. It's acceptable. But if you go to that game and get that's what I keep saying about the Champions League for City as well. If you go to the Brighton game and get dominated for 90 minutes and don't play good football and you go out, I would say that's an opportunity missed. This is how you look at the games, because you cannot control fine small details. It's not up to you. There are small details that you cannot control. And that's what Man United fans should look at this game. It's Brighton already as I think the team in form now in the Premier League, one of the best teams that play football. However, this is again, it's Manchester United, semi-final of the FA Cup. You should be going to the final. It is yours to lose. Brighton are still four positions behind you in the league. So you are on paper the team that should be favorites to go to the final. Again, it is something that Man United fans should look at this game and say, it's an opportunity for us to go to the final. It's an opportunity for us to win another trophy in a year that we were not supposed to win trophies. This is supposed to be a transition year. It's the same as Man City. People say Man City in transition, second in the league, quarterfinal in Champions League, and FA Cup semi-final. It's the same.
Yeah. So I agree. Listen, I agree. I get what KJ's saying. Again, there's a difference. We're going to the final, and
I don't say should. I'm making sure that everyone knows that DZ said should.
But this is the irony. If Man United fans say no, I don't think we're the favourites, everyone will say no, of course you are. If you say you're the favourites, I say stop disrespecting Brighton. That's because people lack critical thinking. and people have got such dead banter. We should be in the final, but I wouldn't write Brighton off as I think everybody has said out there. In terms of Man United winning, learning to win even when you're not playing well is a very, very brilliant habit to have. The greatest teams of all time have that within their makeup. But what's impressed me the most since 2 weeks ago when Liverpool humbled us has been our response, generally speaking. And, to make it through to a quarters and a semi-final of other competitions, to not kind of collapse, the likes of Igal, I think your season could fall away from here. The fact that we've maintained ourselves and progressed in other competitions, I think is really, really impressive by Man United. There's a super chat here that says about Sancho, that says Sancho needs to have a bit more of that dog in him. We need him to be aggressive, unlike Antony. The Mitro assault, the ref, he should be jailed, is what YUFC has got to say.
I want to ask you something. If you have another, before we move on to the next super chat, do you think they're going to give him a lengthy ban, but also they're going to be looking at what Bruno did and they're going to be a little bit lenient because they didn't give Bruno a lengthy ban?
I don't think they'll look at that, because otherwise Casemiro wouldn't have got a 4-game ban for his tackle when 2 other people last weekend committed very similar tackles. I think midweek in the Southampton game, there was another tackle where Lavia that does very, very similar. So I don't think that they tend. By the way, they should. They actually should. These guys did similar and didn't get away with it. 3 game only, but they don't tend to do that. The FA, they handle every situation as like an isolated incident, and sometimes they throw they throw the book at you, and other times you get away with it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think he'll probably. It depends on what he said. If he's sworn at him and everything else, he may end up with he might end up with a 4-game, 5-game, something like that. But I don't think it will be. I mean, Di Canio, when he pushed the referee over, I think he got like 3 or 4 months. But that was so different because Sheffield Wednesday suspended him instantly. So a lot of Di Canio's ban was by him. People also don't realize when Cantona kicked the fan, he got an 8-month ban. 4 months of that was a ban issued by Man United. We banned him for half that time ourselves. You'd never get a club nowadays banning their own players for breaking rules. Yeah. The world's gone like that. But yeah, that's what happened. This here from Abs says, Abs here says, definite red cards. Rivals told us to stop complaining about Casemiro's reds. Well, then you do the same now. Fulham lost their heads. Hashtag cry rivals. Nabil here says, yes, the performance are shaky, but we have played more games compared to any other Premier League team. Players are human too, and not codes from FIFA. Need a break. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping we hear tonight. Rashford's pulled out with a slight niggle. Bruno's got a cold.
He looked injured when he walked off.
He looked injured, honestly. He's looked injured since the City game. Since he hurt, when he hurt he's looked a little bit off since then. He still scored lots of goals, but definitely looked off. This is true about the return, though. Casemiro and Eriksen to come back soon. Well, Eriksen should be back after the international break. So he should be in and around first-team contention. And that's one of the 3 games now that Casemiro is set to miss. But getting them 2 back, Dizzy, how important is that for Man United's running in the last stage of the season?
Bro, it's so important. Words couldn't explain how important it is, because somehow I think all the draws, we've got Southampton, we've got Leeds, they've kind of sucked us into that top 4 battle. And that was the last thing that United fans expected or wanted, to be honest. So having a midfield back that is our strongest midfield, hopefully Martial should be back in place, somewhat of something that resembles a striker at least.
Yeah,
and then he just needs to look like a striker. Maybe not elite striker. He just has
to be able to turn on the spot really quickly. That's all I need from him.
Yeah, and then you got Varane coming back as well, who he's missed the last 2 games. He looks like he's been injured. So we're coming back. We should be coming back with what looks like our full strength team, and we really need it because we're going to need some big performances because we got some big games coming.
Yeah. There's no doubt. I think for me, I look at Eriksen as an example. There's been lots of games recently where we don't need him and Casemiro sitting. We could have literally, there could be games where we've needed Bruno on the right, where we could have had Eriksen in 10, as an example. Weghorst has done a good job. By a player of his standards, I think he's actually probably performed slightly above himself. But he's already been worked out by opponents. If you put pressure, if you press him hard and put pressure on him, his touch and his pass isn't good enough, and his turning ability, literally to turn, or his turn of pace, they're not good enough. So close him down and pressure him. Done. He literally fades. And we need some more nimble, quick-minded players. But until we've got Casemiro back on a regular, Eriksen back in the team, and we got to keep Antony, fit. We need Garnacho back, and then hopefully what we'll start to see is less Weghorst from the start and more Weghorst that 20 minutes to go need a goal from up front, or bringing one into games that we're leading.
Need a goal in Weghorst.
Yeah, but what I mean is, you can't.
I know what you're saying.
Sometimes you might want to throw the ball into the box and use his head. That's what I thought we were going to use him for. Instead, we're having to use him as a 10 because everybody else is injured or out for the season. It's crazy.
He's laughing because
this brother
he can't even use his head. I don't know what he's there for. You're killing me.
He would be really good in games that we're 2-0 up him, and you bring him on for the last 20 minutes, not to win you games, but to see games out. That is what he'd be good for. Him with fresh legs against tired legs, 20 minutes to go. He's the guy for that. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. There's a super chat here that says, I knew we were going to win because we don't lose at home. We simply don't. Look at the stats. Last time we lost was against Real Sociedad. But yeah, 190 days ago, the commentator said, I heard that, so I'm stealing that. But yeah, like it was brilliant from our point of view. It is brilliant that we're becoming a fortress at home. It really is.
Don't you guys think, KJ, I need to ask you something about Rashford. Go ahead.
Quick fact. All of our wins in the FA Cup this season has been 3-1.
No way.
That's very strange.
All of them have been 3-1.
Yeah.
Don't you think like moving Rashford to being a forward sometime, right side, left side, that hurts his form a little? I think if I'm a player, I want to make a position mine. I want to make this area mine because I'm getting used to Luke Shaw playing behind me. I'm getting used to the midfielder that is playing my side. And Weghorst is playing 10, Bruno Fernandes right, like Rashford up top. If I'm a football player, I want to play in the same position every game.
No, I get what you're saying, and in the long term, it hinders us because, again, you're saying players aren't getting used to positions they should be in when they're playing. Always chopping and changing is not great for development in one position. But I would only be worried about that if next season we're doing the same again, because next season with new owners that are on the way, should hopefully have some brand new midfielders, new strikers, a new fullback maybe. So you can then start to be like, right, Rashi, we've got the striker now, or two strikers now that can play that role. Don't worry about going up top anymore because we've got that covered. Bruno, you can stay in the 10 because you don't have to. We've got the midfielders now. You don't have to come back and forth and go out to the wing and stuff. So for this season, it just needed to happen. Injuries, suspensions, failure to secure the correct targets in January is reason why we're doing what we're doing now. So in the short term, it's not an issue. They're quality for footballers. All footballers should be able to play multiple positions because you're the top 1% in the world of being able to play football. You're telling me that a striker can't play right wing for a game or two? Like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be better than that. So short term, we're fine. Long term, coming into next season, if we're still doing that, then it's a big worry.
Yeah. No, I kind of, something that Indiana said around being fluid, I think is key. I like the idea of where you can move and change and you're comfortable in those other positions. But equally, I look at Saka this year and how proficient he's become. He's learning that role so well. But in the build-up to Arsenal challenging for the league, look how many positions he's played under Arteta when there was holes to be filled in. That's why we haven't really spoke about him much today, but that's why the Bruno Fernandes hatred, and I call it hatred because it can't be anything else other than that at this point. Oh, he's been moved to the right. He's been put on the left. He's been made to drop deep. He's not been put in his preferred position because the manager doesn't trust him. No, I think the player that's played the most amount of minutes out of anybody else in our squad is clearly trusted by the new manager. And equally, the guys that are playing the most minutes but being moved into positions when we're struggling. And whether that's because we've got suspensions and injuries or that struggle is because the other players we have around aren't good enough, i.e. Luke Shaw being used as a centre-back when Maguire was available because there was more trust in him doing that job. It's crazy. He has more trust in playing Luke Shaw centre-back means he doesn't trust Maguire or Lindelof. Not that he doesn't trust Luke Shaw at left-back. Playing Bruno on the right doesn't mean he's not trusted as an attacking midfield player. It means when Antony is out injured or not available, the manager doesn't trust anybody else who's natural to that position over Bruno for the majority of the season, including Sancho. And by the way, a lot of these games were when Sancho was out and gone in the Himalayas training. And he is giving him more. And have you noticed since he's been back, Bruno's moved more centrally again. But Bruno's actually dropped deeper in recent games because Casemiro's been out as well. And he is not a deep-lying midfield player. He is awful at it because he just sees these, oh, look, if I pull this 40-yard pass off, we're through on goal. And he gives it away a lot. That's why Bruno's brilliant up the other end of the pitch. He can lose the ball like that 10 times a game because he's going to create 2 or 3 really good opportunities to score. But it shows how much he's trusted. And again, with Bruno again today, I thought he was having a really poor game when sitting deep. But he still came up trumps for us again. And Bruno and Rashford, I think back to your original question, Mo, once this squad is settled over the next couple of transfer windows and this squad is deeper, you were going to see Bruno and Rashford are still both having, in my opinion, their best ever seasons for Manchester United. They've won us a trophy. They've both scored brilliant goals. They're trusted by the manager. They play most games. Most of their performances have been very good. They've had a handful of stinkers, there's no doubt, but most have been very, very good. They're only going to get better under this manager as the team settles. And I'm very, very excited for the future. And those two, Casemiro, Eriksen, yes, they're all mid to late 20s. But over the next 3 to 4 years, all of those players are going to be imperative with the direction that we're going in. And next year's title challenge that will happen. It will happen. And they are going to be absolutely integral. So anyone who dislikes them that calls themselves a Man United fan, be prepared to be angry next year because those boys are going nowhere. The manager loves them. We love our manager. So get behind them. 110% facts. There's a comment here that says, let Marcus get used as a centre forward. Left wing spot is for Mbappe.
I'm saying the Qataris are giving us Mbappe.
Right,
listen, if these guys are serious, they go out. Bun, I love Mbappe, but I don't care about that. The striker, I don't care. Bring me 3. Bring me 3 midfielders, then they're serious.
To be honest, I want to say something about Bruno. Before Terry started talking, I was gonna bash Bruno. He was so bad. He was. His passing percentage is 70%. He had 1 accurate cross. Because I was looking at the game, he gave the ball away. He almost cost you 2 goals, counter attacks on you. He can't play deep. He cannot play deep.
He can't. But this is the thing. I don't get angry about that because that isn't his position. Put Erling Haaland on left wing and make him try and play Grealish's role for City, and let's see how good he is. There are a handful of players that can do that. There are a handful of football players in the world, like Wayne Rooney could. Wayne Rooney could play striker, 10, left, right, central midfield. How many, if you actually could name the amount of elite level players that play at the elite end that could actually do that, in the last 10 years, you might find 10 people that can do it at the very highest level consistently. Bruno is an attacking midfield player. Him coming deep is dangerous because he doesn't think like a holding midfield player at all. But that isn't a Bruno issue. That is a Man United club issue that we don't have outside of Casemiro. We don't have anyone because McTominay and Fred, by the way, are worse. Because at least with Bruno, he'll come up with something good at some point. Those two, Fred would like that every single game for 2 or 3 years. So I don't hate on Bruno. I just don't like the fact we have nobody else. And even Sabitzer can't play that role. I was watching today, all 3 of them in the midfield today. Bruno, Sabitzer, McTominay. Oh, it makes me pain. The amount of times that Fulham would pass the ball into the middle, there'd be massive holes, and they just don't see danger. They're not even lazy. They just don't see where the danger is. Where Casemiro, he reads the game. He's 2 or 3 pages ahead. That is what we're really missing here. And because he's ahead of play, he's in positions early, meaning he's got more time to distribute that ball. These boys get it deep, and they are like headless chickens because they're panicking because they don't want to give the ball away. None of them should be in that area as the main DM or deep line player ever. But equally, I won't have a go at Bruno because he's literally covering positions that the club has failed to invest in for 10 years. So for me, that's where so again, I get the criticism of him as an individual. But are you telling me if we took KDB and said, right, you're going to do the Rodri role, he may have better pass completion, but is he gonna read the game defensively in the same way? I guarantee you take Rodri out that City team and go, KDB, you're going to play it. I guarantee you he gets exploited defensively anyway. Maybe not passing because he is a better passer of the ball than Bruno. I'm not going to deny that, but he'll get exposed. because it's so hard. Look what happened to Gerrard and Lampard when they tried playing them as DMs. Them boys got ruined. And look how good they were as footballers. It's such a hard role. It's an underrated role in football. But yeah, Bruno, it weren't great today.
My problem with him, he was trying too much, Terry.
He did get a brace.
No, I did.
You know what it is, yeah. But Mo, the main issue is here. Our club of Manchester United, the size of Manchester United. You're telling me you can only have one DM in the entire squad? We have one defensive midfielder in the entire squad.
Exactly.
That is insane. That is just insane. The fact that we ain't got even number 2.
Yeah, I was watching McTominay today. The kid was hiding. He doesn't want to get the ball from the defense. How are you? How are you a Manchester United player?
Yes,
he was hiding. I have a screenshot on my phone.
And bro, do you know why he hides? He hides because he knows he ain't good enough in that deep position. He will be fine when he moves to a West Ham. And people aren't high pressing them all the time. When they sit off when the mid teams all play each other, the games are nice and open. There's a lot of space for everybody. It's why Willock, when he first went to Newcastle, killed it. It's why Lingard killed it at West Ham, because there's all this space. There's a lot more space. No one's sitting back. Man United, people do a weird thing against us. They either sit back. If teams sit back against us, Scott McTominay's fine deep. As soon as we're pressed, players of Scott McTominay's ability are fucked. They're fucked because they don't have the ability on the ball to want it. He's such a bang average technical footballer. It's unbelievable at this level. And no defensive awareness as well. I'm going to go to some calls in a minute. Cedric here says another quick fact. We have played all our sometimes when I read this, I feel like I'm about to have a stroke because I can't read properly. Another quick fact: we have played at home in every cup game this season. See, I read that as we've played every cup game at home this season. And sometimes what my dyslexia does, I try to read it out. I read it, but I'm reading it the wrong way around. It's so weird.
Even though you said is also right as well. So
very lucky, by the way. Very lucky, by the way. It's very lucky.
I know. I let Marcus. Sorry, already done that. There. This is an interesting super chat before I go to some calls. This here says, need Paulinho next season, top player, good backup.
Ooh. I would love Paulinho, Terry. I definitely would Paulinho. Someone like him, someone like a
Bruno.
Who else has been good this season in the
Bruno Guimaraes?
Yeah, good. He's not really a holding midfield player. Right? Like there's been a couple of DMs this year that everyone looked at and be like, "Rah, this is good." Like Ruben Neves, someone like that of that caliber from a lower Premier League side or somewhere in Europe. You just pick them up. Like I would love what we do. With Malacia, I think Malacia has been decent this year. I like what he brings to the club. If we can find another version of a Malacia, someone you can pick up on the cheap, someone you can develop, we need that. We need that because what we've got in backup right now, no, bro. Lavia is another one. Sorry, Lavia, Paulinho. These Onana from Everton, these kind of man, we need those kind of.
Yeah, well, Onana is back for me. Paulinho, it wouldn't be. See again, like you play both of them in the midfield with Bruno in front of them, and you ain't got nothing to worry about. Bruno, it's like don't go in your own half other than corners, mate. Like just stay up there. That's what you could almost do because you'd never get past the midfield of those two. Those two in midfield, Casemiro and Paulinho, you would never break that down. You would. I'm being a little bit like exaggerating a little bit, but that would be brilliant. Equally, you wouldn't need to play 2 DMs all the time. You could rotate, you could rest. And how old is Paulinho? What is he, about 26? 26. So again, that's someone that can be here for 8 years, 9 years. So there's someone to long-term replace Casemiro in 3 to 4 as well. I'd love him at Man United. There's no doubt about that. This here from Ten Hag's son says Mitrovic read justified, Willian's harsh, but a pen.
Well, if it was a pen, it's a red.
If I do that, is that harsh? People were saying he tucked it, his arms were tucked in. Watch it again. He does that and then flicks it. He flicks it. He flicks his arm.
Remember the funky chicken dance? That's what he was doing. It's one of them ones. That's what he did. This is true today. That Harry Maguire was doing my head in, slowing the game down. It was funny because whenever I was booing him, I shouted at the screen and said, "Well, no one's moving," because you can only see what the screen sees. And then the commentator's like, "Rashford keeps making runs and he ain't trying to find him." And as soon as I heard that, my mood towards Maguire stopped. I'm like, "Bro, this is why you ain't in the team, bro. Like you just sit there you get away with it because we can't see it because we're watching on television. It's crazy. Imagine a fit Cavani in this team.
Well, young Cavani, a thick.
Happy to be here, Cavani. Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to play for Man United. Cavani would have been great.
Yeah.
We're gonna take some calls now from some of you that are phoning in.
I'm gonna head out. Catch you guys in a bit.
All
Happy
right,
Mother's Day, by the way, to all you
Happy
wonderful
Mother's
mothers
Day.
out there. See you in a bit.
There we go. Indiana's here with us now. What you saying, bro?
Evening, Terry.
Yeah, you're right, mate.
Yeah, no, actually, when it comes to United, I agree with the fading, actually. And I don't think it's just fatigue. I think a lot of it is balance. I think we don't control games of football. I think there are big question marks over a lot of players in terms of partnerships and relationships on the pitch. Antony's a problem for me. I like more direct wingers. I just think Premier League, when you come to counter attacks, you can't have a player that wants to cut back every time. He's going to have to start using his right foot. I hear what people are saying when they're talking about Sancho and wanting to play with players like Antony and Martial, and that's great. That's brilliant. But sometimes you just need that direct player who can beat a man, makes the run into the box, finishers as well. Because that's another problem for me. Sancho and Bruno are probably, and Rashford you could put in there. Bruno is definitely our best finisher. That's an issue. I think a striker coming in changes a lot for Sancho, by the way. I've got higher hopes for Sancho than I do Antony. Someone with that movement, not just a finisher. I don't just want a goal scorer. I want somebody who's intelligent enough to make those runs, to drag centre-backs out the way, create space, those openings. Because Bruno, by the way, this is something people don't actually get. I just don't think people watch the game. They're too focused on the ball. Bruno is highly intelligent at making runs. His runs are so good. Watch him off the ball. He's actually very good at them. And again, bring a bit more quality into the midfield. Someone else who can do that, another 8 maybe. That would be great. But I'm not sure what people can take from this game tonight. Don't get me wrong, it's a cup game. And you get over the line, and you need a bit of luck along the way. But I'm not sure what people can take from this game tonight. It just seemed like another game where we weren't controlling the midfield. Mm-hmm. Didn't look like we were going to at all. Our forwards movement is poor at times. And again, when it's like that, how many times do we see Manchester United and we got ourselves out of trouble with direct players, direct wingers? Pace down the wing. Are we going to see that with like Antony's and Sancho's if everyone's not fit? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would say what I'd say about taking out tonight's game is I think we're all losing sight that we are 1 year in to a rebuild. Yep. We've had a brilliant season so far, even though it's not been perfect stylistically, how the football's looking. And there's lots of players out here today. Again, I think if you go through this whole matchday squad, I guarantee you 60% are not here in 2 years. This is not, for me, this is just, these performances are still going to exist until the McTominays and the Maguires of this world, the Weghorsts. I know he's only just come in, but he's a makeshift. That caliber of players got to go. Even De Gea, he pulled off a brilliant save today. But his lack of ability to play out from the back with his feet is a problem to us. So all of that is going to, like, AWB's been really good in an inverted role. But we know we need someone who is proficiently as good defensively and who is much more. Look at Zinchenko does. For if we had a Zinchenko on the left and the right from a fullback point of view, how much more would we improve? But you're never going to buy a whole squad in one window. I think that's what I get where you're coming from, Indiana. But I just can't lose sight of the fact that we're not.
I haven't lost sight.
1, 2, 3. We're not 1, 2, 3, 4 years into 10.
No, I hear that. Team, you know? But that's an argument I've been making for a long time in terms of balance. You know this, but I suppose I have question marks over big names, high price tags at the club as it is. Like I've got huge question marks over Antony. I'll be honest with you. I've got huge question marks over him. I get that.
When do you trust Ten Hag?
Do I trust Ten Hag? I trust Ten Hag to get it right in the end. Let's put it that way. I don't think I have to trust Ten Hag in the respect of I have to believe that Antony is the guy. I think I can question things. I can criticize.
No, I'm not saying you can't criticize and question. Because I question the same things with Antony. But my view is I trust that the manager knows what he's doing with him and he'll come good. That's like, as much as I criticize him, like, a lot of rivals like,
Do you know my only issue here?
a lot of
Terry?
rivals are like, you got to go in on him. I'm like, but I don't want to go in on him yet.
But the
It's
thing
my
is,
job as a Man United. Like, I choose when I go in on my players. I'm not going to be bullied into it by rivals. I'm just going to. I trust my
100%.
manager, so I'm just going to stay patient with him, if that makes sense.
but my only thing here is that we don't know how stubborn he is, and this could, you know, it could be a bit of an issue in terms of Antony. He's pressed the club to go and pay a lot of money for this kid, who is still a kid, will still develop, by the way. I still expect him to get better, but how stubborn is he? How stubborn is he when it comes to his player, his guy? That's going to be something that I'll be interested in seeing. I just don't like a wide player in a position where you can lose the ball. It's the only position on the pitch where you can lose it. Need an overlap.
Totally hear that, my friend. I really do. We're going to add another caller in here. He's been waiting a while now. Dockers is coming on the line. What are you saying, Dockers?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm good, man. What do you say, bro?
Just got a couple of hot takes. Number one, even when we went 1-0 down, I thought that Fulham, we weren't in any issue. They weren't finishing anything tonight. We had control of that game. We were playing at 60%, 70%, whatever. We had control. Antony came on, completely changed the game. But the biggest one, why are we not looking at Sabitzer? The man was making mad runs. He was constantly open, and it looked like he owed the players money. They just weren't looking for him.
Yeah.
Like, he was completely open. He's doing flick passes, skills. That goal he scored, he flicked that off the back heel. Like, the man's dangerous, and if we don't sign him in summer, we balls up.
Yeah, you know what I said about Sabitzer? Great point you raised there, mate. Thank you very much for phoning in. I think that he is going to, again, thrive when we have a solid midfield that can control games. Because, again, I don't think he's someone that dictates play. I see him more as I just see him more as an attacking midfielder. People say he's an 8. Great. He'll get back and help defend. But we need them controllers in the midfield. I like Sabitzer, though. He's a good player. Very impressed with him. Great take, my friend Dockers. Thank you very much indeed for calling in. Sorry, you're going to say something, Diz?
Yeah, and if you, I listened to an interview of him when he first signed to United, and he said that, you know, he doesn't, well, as much as, you know, he's happy to do whatever the manager wants him to do. He said specifically, I like to be in and around the box. I like to be shooting. I like to contribute goals where I can. So that says to me that the defensive side of the game, he might try his best, but he doesn't really have a keen thing for. But moving forward, that's where
he may end up being the replacement for Donny van der Beek. Donny van der Beek was meant to be the guy that came in and deputized for Bruno in the attacking element and maybe surpassed him, and it's never worked for him. So maybe that's it. We're going to add Baz1 to the stream. What are you saying, Bazza?
Hey guys, it's been a while. So I want to just say this. I just want to make a comment. Like, I know that it's been, you know, like we've had to make makeshift additions to the team. I mean, Sabitzer, I kind of agree, he's always been an attacking type of player. I think that's going to be his role in this team if he stays with us. Weghorst, I mean, decent player, but obviously not very great in terms of finishing. But one thing I want to mention about Ten Hag is that the people Ten Hag's bringing into this club are good people. And it's changed the way the squad is. It's changed. You know how Liverpool was adding everyone they're adding to the squad were, like, you know, family men that were kind of religious, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not, but like it changed the trajectory of how their squad was. With your Mo Salah, guys like Sadio Mane, guys like Van Dijk and Alisson. These guys are just like family people that like are professionals. I mean, when you look at Weghorst, Sabitzer, Antony, Martinez, these guys are all good people. And they're even whether it works or not in terms of Antony, I think it's still early. I think he's doing great for first year. But I could tell you right now that player is trusted by the manager, and that player is not going to let him down. and then that's and I think moving forward, that's going to be the driver of where this club goes. Just the way Sir Alex Ferguson used to find people, even if they were kind of, have a bad rap, like your Cantonas and guys like that. He's always able to put those guys on the right side. And I mean, if you look at AWB was in the news for the wrong reasons. Not a lot of people talk about that, but he's been put on the right side. Jadon Sancho's situation. I mean, Jadon Sancho's a good kid, but he puts him away, gets his head back, and I just think that you got to trust in this manager, and the new ownership has to continue that. They can't come in and just buy Mbappe's and do all this sort of stuff, because that's gonna hurt.
I think they can buy Mbappe's, but they have to. It's the cultural match has got to be there in terms of attitude and behaviors. Do they want to be here for the right reasons? And,
Absolutely.
Ollie tried doing this, actually. Ollie tried when we interviewed Dybala, and all Dybala's people cared about was money and, image rights and what does it look like financially, as opposed to what's the project? Where am I going to play? Like, very simple things. So, but then that fell apart as soon as we started giving Ollie players you didn't really want, like Ronaldo, and things fell apart quickly. So we've got to get it right. There's no doubt. We're going to add Safe in now. What are you saying, Safe?
Yo, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what do you want to say?
No, well, great win. Great play. We play shit football. Not
Great
happy.
play, but we play shit. Go on.
I mean,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was shit. I wasn't happy with the performance, but at the end of the day, I don't care about the performance the day we won, but I care about the future of the football club. To get bought by the Qatar, at the end of the day, it's absolutely a disgrace. There's no human right, and Manchester United should be bought by that English guy. I can't remember his name again. I prefer him over the Qatar person.
Let me ask you a question. What about all the environmental issues that come out of Ineos and what they do to the environment? And secondly, what about the fact that billions of pounds that Sir Jim Ratcliffe makes comes out of his operations in the Middle East?
Well, it doesn't. He's an English guy.
It doesn't matter about his nationality, but he makes a lot of his money out of the Middle East. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, he's a better person because.
So you know him? You know both of these people to judge their personality?
Well, I do, yes, because when English people run businesses, and I'll be honest with you, English care about themselves. They care about the football club. When you're gonna bring an Arab person, he doesn't care. He just wants to pump in money.
Wasn't Mike Ashley English?
Mike Ashley was English. That's not great.
I get that.
When English people run things, they care about it. I mean, you should have a chat with like Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson, because they didn't really care too much when they were running things.
Hold on.
Go on.
At least the UK has freedom of speech. Okay.
Well, that's debatable.
No. It's not a debatable. Hold on.
Very debatable, my friend.
Hold on. The UK has freedom of speech. I can go right now, on the BBC and say that how bad is the royal family and how racist is the royal family. If I went to an Arab country right now, I'm Middle Eastern and I'm Arab. I know what I'm talking about. Right? If I went to Dubai, if I went to Qatar and I started to talk about the Emir, I would most probably be killed by now. Because there's no freedom, there's no life, there's no lifestyle. You have to respect the king or the Emir in this type of countries. And as a Manchester United fan, Terry, do you expect that? I mean, I'd rather have the CIA running my football club than the Qatar. Honestly,
listen, I understand where you're coming from, and I do get the challenge that you make. My view is this, though: if we're all going to sit there and be holier than thou and say, I don't want the Qataris owning Manchester United because of issues I have with the way that their royal family behaves and the laws in their country. And then the same, therefore, for the Saudis and Abu Dhabi and Dubai and everywhere else. You then have to start using lots of different products, and businesses in the UK that they invest in. Then you get into the what you call sort of the morality wars. And then, okay, well, what about the way Amazon treats people, or the way or the way Apple treats people? Like Apple make that. Do you have an iPhone or a smartphone?
I do. I got two iPhones. I got two phones.
iPhones. So iPhones, two things with that. The batteries that go into iPhones are made from a
mines in Africa.
Yeah, a mine in Africa. I'm sure the
lithium.
The mineral they use is called cobalt. and that is mined in Africa via slavery. The second element with Apple is the phones are put together in sweatshops in China where children work. So again, this is my point to you. As much as I get your morality stance, the problem I have is I can't sit there as an iPhone using, coffee drinking, aeroplane flying, petrol pumping human being and condemn parts of the world or businesses or people whose products of which I use and I have no intention of stop using. So that's my issue with all of this.
I get that.
So I'm not going to get into a debate over it on the terrace.
No. Just one more thing.
Stop. I am not getting into political debates on the terrace. That's as far as we go with them on here, ever. Because I don't get into politics on here. I'm simply stating I respect your stance. Respect mine that I'm not going to be a hypocrite and condemn things that I use. I won't stop watching Man United. Therefore, I'm not going to condemn any potential ownership because that'll make me a hypocrite. You are not going to walk away from the club if they own us. So I would say now, if you don't, then that makes you a hypocrite. So don't that's just my view.
I would walk away from the football club.
Then we'll see if you do, my friend. But I'm not going to get into any more debates on it. It's as simple as that. What's it say, Terry? You don't know nothing. Stop waffling. It's not about waffling. I'm just telling you, it's as simple as that. Terry, he's literally using a slave-labored phone to call into your show. That's my point. That's why. Listen, and I call out. Look, I said it before. I say it again. If people want to stand up against any of these things, I respect them, and I got a right to do it. I'm not going to call them out because I ain't willing to stop using their products. It's crazy to call out. Imagine Apple, a terrible company, whilst holding an iPhone in your hand. I can't live like that. The same with Man United. If you ain't going to walk away from football because the Middle East are pumping money into it, then I don't know what you're complaining about. It's just virtue signaling for me, and I'm not going to do it on the terrace, my friend. But thank you very much indeed. Listen, everyone that has phoned in today,
thank you.
Cheers, mate. No worries, safe. Really appreciate it, bro. Everyone who's come onto the show today, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. All my viewers, you're absolutely amazing. Super chatters, you're brilliant. Back tomorrow with more content for you. Top 6 show at 6 p.m. So make sure you're all tuning in. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.